So now that we've done attendance and everybody's checked in, everybody's here, right? Everybody's like logged in the Google Classroom and they're watching these videos and they're present, correct? Everybody, everyone, great. Okay, so we are on our ELA lesson and we
were reading The Templeton Twins Have an Idea. And we read chapters 1 through 8 and we are on chapter 9. And I will continue to read this book until we go back to school. Yay! So, we left off with the Templeton Twins moving to Tick-Tock Tech, where their father now works after working for Elysian University, but suddenly deciding to move jobs out of nowhere. So, everything's going smoothly. The move went great, but now they have to deal with Dean, who's this weirdo who keeps popping up everywhere and making mysterious threats. Not only that, but now the Professor Elton Templeton got a nanny for the twins, Nanny Nan Noonan, and she's kind of a meanie pants. So, now we'll continue more of what happens with the Templeton Twins Have an Idea.
Chapter 9. More, if you can believe it, exciting things start to happen. The next day, the twins were home alone with Nanny Nan, and it was just before lunchtime. John and Abigail were in the dining room looking through the big book of maps so gigantic that they had to put it on the dining room table. They had just finished examining the map of France and turned to the map of Spain. Cassie was sleeping under the dining room table, and the doorbell rang. Cassie immediately woke up and started barking and ran towards the door in a ridiculous fashion. The twins were eager to see who could be visiting them so soon after their move into their new home. But Nanny Nan got there first, and they heard the door open, and Nanny Nan said, "Yes?" Cassie was barking too much for them to hear what the visitor had said. Finally, Nanny Nan called out, "Children, please collect this creature and take her elsewhere." So Abigail dashed to the front door and picked up Cassie. She tried to see who was at the door, but Nanny Nan was blocking the way. Abigail carried Cassie back to the living room where John was waiting. Then a slightly familiar voice said very smoothly and pleasantly, "Hello, I've been sent by Professor Elton Templeton for the children. The professor thinks it would be a fine idea if they went on a little outing with me." The twins waited and listened. Cassie squirmed around in Abigail's arms in a ridiculous fashion. "An outing?" Nanny Nan said. "What kind of outing?" "Oh, you know," the man said. "A ride in the country, a pleasant excursion into the surrounding landscape." "The professor didn't tell me anything about an outing," said Nanny Nan. "Of course not, madam. The professor... Well, we only just discussed this mere moments ago. The professor and myself, Professor Templeton, Professor Elton Templeton, Professor Templeton, the father of these lovely children, Professor Templeton, he's an inventor, the famous inventor, Professor Elton Templeton." "Oh, baloney," said Miss Nanny Nan. "First of all, you speak in a weird manner. Second, if the professor wants the children to go out on an outing, have him call me and tell me himself." "Madam," the man said, "I can assure you—" "You cannot assure me of anything," Nanny Nan said. "I can assure you that either you get lost or I'm going to call the police." And with that, Nanny Nan firmly and loudly shut the door. "Who is that, Nanny Nan?" Abigail called out, putting Cassie back on the floor. "No one," said Nanny Nan. "Just a man with a silly mustache." After lunch, the twins were each in their rooms pursuing their hobbies. John was practicing with his drumsticks on a practice pad because Nanny Nan still would not let him play the drums himself. Meanwhile, Abigail had persuaded Nanny Nan to let her work on a cryptic puzzle for 1 hour, as long as she read the clues out loud. And she had just read this clue that she was thinking about now. Red treat found in burlap pleasantly. Red treat found in burlap pleasantly 5. Here's another hint about solving cryptics. Some clues hide the answers right in front of you, and you don't even know how to unscramble any of the letters. When you see the clues like found in or hidden in, it's a signal to look for an arrangement of letters in the clue itself. Sometimes the answer is formed by combining the letters that end in the one word with letters that begin in the next. Is that the case here? I don't know. Red treat found in burlap pleasantly 5. See if you can solve that. Abigail, she said, "Wait, another tip for doing cryptics. You look for unusual words. Those are quite often the words that contain letters necessary for the answer. Do you see an unusual word? You do! I think the unusual word is burlap. That is an unusual word. Can I assume that you know what she's talking about? No? Huh. Very well, I will go on. Burlap is a kind of rough, scratchy, woven material used in bags that hold things like potatoes, and like the onions you yourself may have used when you made meatloaf in the previous chapter. Did you make the meatloaf? I put the recipe in there. You did make the meatloaf, didn't you? Wasn't it delicious? You can thank me later. Wait, you didn't make the meatloaf? Ugh. Abigail studied the word burlap. Was the answer to be found in the first 2 or 3 letters, combined with the letters from the word before it? But no, in-bur? Was that not a word? Is that a word? And then she saw the answer. A 5-letter word using the last 2 letters of burlap and the first 3 letters of pleasantly. The answer is apple. A-P-P-L-E. Apple. Which indeed is a red treat. Feeling very happy and satisfied with herself, she had just finished writing the answer in the box when she heard an unfamiliar voice right behind her say very quietly, "Turn around and don't say anything." She turned around and didn't say anything. Standing there was a man who looked, well, not like someone she knew, but like someone who looked like someone she knew. And he was wearing blue jeans and a white shirt and a light beige windbreaker, not a beautiful, wonderful suit and tie. How did you get in here? Abigail asked. I walked in through the front door, the man said. And Cassie didn't bark at you? Who? The dog? She's asleep on the couch. So there you have it. The one time it could have been really helpful for Cassie to bark, no matter how ridiculous it would have been, is the same time someone came into the house and she was asleep. I hardly know what to say about that such thing. Call your brother, the man said in a whisper. What? I can't hear you, Abigail said. I said, call your brother, he whispered a bit more loudly. Why should I? Abigail said. Who are you, and what are you doing here? The man said softly. Here's why you should. And from his pocket, he pulled out an actual gun. Abigail's heart thumped one hard thump. John, she called, can you come here for a second? The man stood off to the side as John appeared in the doorway. He took one look at his sister and stopped dead. He knew something was wrong. The man pulled John into the room, shut the door behind him, and pointed the gun at both the Templeton twins. Now you kids are going to be very, very quiet, he said in a whisper. We are going to go down the steps and out the door and into my car. Period. End of discussion. We haven't actually started a discussion yet, Abigail pointed out. Just quiet. No talking. Period. You look familiar, John said. I mean, sort of. I said no talking, the man said very, very quietly. Now everyone is just going to just calm down. We are calm, said John. I said calm down and be quiet. The man gestured toward the door with the gun. Now very, 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 very quietly. Now, here, we're... And the door flew open. It's too quiet in here, Nanny Nan said. I think you two are trying to get away with... Then Nanny Nan saw the man and the gun and stopped talking. They're coming with me, the man said. Children, Nanny Nan said, do what he says. And then, she said to the man, just don't harm them. No one is going to harm them if they do what I say, the man said. Then put away your gun, Nanny Nan said. They have to do what I say first. They will if you put away your gun. Why don't you just give the gun to me, John said. The man made a face. Wait a minute. That's not how any of this works. I have the gun. We won't harm you, Abigail said. Just, give John the gun and we'll do what you say. Right, yeah. We promise we won't harm you. Just give me the gun. No, I promise I won't harm you, the man said. But first, you... And everyone stopped as they heard a loud noise from downstairs. It sounded like someone slamming the front door. And then they listened as a man angrily stomped up the stairs, muttering to himself. A moment later, this person appeared in the doorway. And he looked like Dean would look if he was wearing a giant fake mustache. And since that is indeed what he was doing and what he was wearing... Can you please move this along, he said to the first man. The Templeton twins stared and looked. It's you, John said. Why are you wearing that awful fake mustache? This is a real mustache, little boy, the man said. And I've never seen you before in my life. Yes, you have, Abigail said. You're Dean. I know most certainly am not. Yes, you are. I am not. Yes, you are. I am not. Yes, you are. Oh, all right. Yes, I am Dean. I am. Dean tore off his big fake mustache and threw it on the floor. Now let's go. I knew I should have called the police, Nanny Nan said. Outing, such baloney. What does the D stand for in your name? Abigail said. Never mind what the D stands for. You're coming with us. Does the D stand for Dean? Abigail asked. No, Dean said. The D in my name stands for Dean, the first man said. Wait, who are you? John asked. Dean went over to the first man, ripped the gun out of his hand, and pointed it at the two twins. He's my twin brother. I'm Dean. Hi, guys, the brother said. Hey, don't tell them your name. Hey, you guys are identical twins. It was true. Dean and Dan Dean were in fact identical twins, which means they looked almost exactly alike. I'm going to show you the picture. Boop. That's them. He has his fake mustache on, and that's his brother standing next to him. There's no pictures on this side, but this is the only picture. I'll make sure to stop and show you guys the pictures. The Templeton twins were not the only boy and girl, but they were also maybe slightly looking alike sometimes. They weren't identical twins. They are what is called fraternal twins. You will have realized by now that Dan Dean was also a handsome man, and since he was the identical twin of Dean, who himself was also very handsome, as I've made myself clear and have stated multiple times. Because identical twins are not always entirely identical, it was possible that Dan wasn't quite as handsome as Dean. And indeed, this was the case. Yes, all right, we're twins. We're identical twins, Dean said. He pointed the gun at Nanny Nan and gestured toward the door. Now let's go. Then he turned his brother and said, bring them. Nanny Nan walked out of the room with Dean holding the gun behind her. They went downstairs. Why are you doing this? John asked Dan Dean. Because your father stole Dean's idea 13 years ago, and he's my brother, and that's not right. It's also not true, Abigail said. Our father has had plenty of ideas. He has his own things and his own thoughts. He hasn't been stealing anyone else's ideas. That's not what Dean says, and he's my brother and I trust him. He's lying, said John. Dan! Dean shouted from upstairs. I'm waiting! That was enough, finally, to wake up Cassie. After all of that, she started barking crazily and ridiculously. Abigail and John traded a look that said wordlessly, let's go. Perhaps with the distraction provided by Cassie, we'll be able to think of some way to improve our situation. And by the time we get downstairs, maybe... And they slowly filed out of the room toward the stairs, and with Dan Dean behind them. Then, from the kitchen downstairs, they heard Dean yell, Wait, no! Put that phone down! I will not! They heard Nanny Nan say, Hello, police? I said put that phone down! What do you mean, wrong number? I'm calling the police! Hello? Lady, I'm gonna count to 3. Oh, be quiet, I'm on the phone, police! Hello? 1. Hello, police? 2. Hello, police? Bang! Crash! Or actually, the sound was more like 2 crashes. Bang, crash! And the twins, nearing the bottom of the stairs, both jerked in surprise. The sound was loud and sudden, echoed through the house. Then, to their amazement, they heard Dean say, Ow! And the twins ran into the kitchen, and there they saw Dean rubbing his right elbow with his left hand. His right hand still held the gun, and behind him, a little window in the door to the pantry had shattered. Broken glass was everywhere, and Nanny Nan lay on the floor, and her eyes closed. Cassie stood nearby, barking, as if that helped matters in any way. Dean seized Abigail by her arm and started dragging her to the front door. Let's go! But what about Nanny Nan? Abigail cried. Leave her! She's dead! What? Are you sure? Abigail cried. Yes, I'm sure. Now move. Then why isn't she bleeding? She had a heart attack and she's dead. John started toward the phone mounted on the kitchen wall. Then we have to call the ambulance. Dean rudely shoved Abigail towards her brother, and held up the gun. Do you both want me to shoot her? Maybe that'll help her. I said, let's go. John froze. He thought for a second. Finally, he lowered his hand from the phone and said, okay, but we have to bring Cassie. Dandy Dean said, actually, Dean, if we bring the dog... Out of the question! But they might cooperate more if we let them have the dog, Dean. We are not going on a picnic, Dan. We are acquiring 2 hostages. Please, said Abigail. Please, said John. Absolutely not. Then we're not coming, John said. And he turned and Abigail said, I'm going upstairs to play my drums. What are you about to do? Oh, all right, Dean yelled. Bring your stupid dog. He waited, gnashing his perfect white teeth and stomping out the door, while Cassie jumped up and down 375 times before finally Abigail got the leash on her. Then Dean said, finally! All right, everybody, come on, out, move! In the front of the house was a black SUV with its motor running. Yes, they had left the motor running all this time, filling the air with exhaust and wasting fuel. That's how bad they are. Dandy Dean opened the rear door, and Cassie jumped in as though she was going on a fun trip. Then Dean flung Abigail and John into the back seat and got into the driver's seat. And Dandy Dean got into the passenger seat. Dandy Dean threw the SUV into gear and sped off with the Templeton Twins and their ridiculous dog as his new prisoners. Questions for review. 1. Can you spell mustache? 2. Solve this cryptic clue. If you aren't too terribly busy. There's a bad man in Wade and D.E. Anderson 414 ***. 3. Isn't this exciting? A. Yes, very. B. Yes, exceedingly. C. I cannot answer this question. I am in such an advanced state of excitement. Those are the questions for review. And that was chapter 9.
Wait, I forgot to ask questions. Right, so, if you were a character captain, if you were a word wizard, if you were a discussion director, and if you were a, timeline tracker, did you hear any interesting things that is dealing with your book club job? If you have, comment it on the video below. See you guys later. Don't forget to log into your Google Classroom daily so you can get daily updates. This video is brought to you by LWE. Liquid Elementary! Learning for you and me. Yeah.